Welcome, everyone, to episode 6 of the Believe in Action podcast. I'm Michelle West, coach, performer, and founder of Be a Nutrition, and I am here with
Coach Emily.
And Coach Megan.
And around here, we don't just believe in change, we take action to make it happen, because at BIA, we know that initiative plus action equals change. So let's get into it. Hi, ladies. How y'all doing?
Hey,
Good.
Good. All right. So let's go into our last 7 days and how we're feeling so far throughout the week. So let's go to Coach Emily first. Emily, how was your last 7 days?
It was great. This past Tuesday, I met up with one of my clients and we actually met up at the goat farm. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. I'm like, I don't know. It's like so different, like meeting your clients in person versus like just even like in a video call. It's just like you feel like you can talk to them about things not even coaching related. So I was like, this is awesome. And I would imagine it's cool from the client's perspective too, to like learn, oh my gosh, like my coach is a real person, like she's going through the same stuff. And and then this weekend I'm going to be meeting with another client and we're going to be training at the gym together. So I'm actually going to be doing her workout with her. Like I'm going to do the same workout myself. So I'm like, now I have to live through the diabolical programming that I've given her. So it's like the circle of life. Now I got to do it. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll be great.
That's amazing. I love that. And the fact that you got to, connect with our clients is amazing. I think I said that to you all, that I like tried to catch up with as many of the clients who are out in Vegas that we had when I was out there. And I got to see like 3 of my clients. By the way, that reminds me of, there's one girl who wanted to sign up with us and she hasn't signed up yet. So I need to reach out to her because she should be a baddie by now, because we going into September. And she said I was going to sign up for August. So I'm like, come on over. All right. I ain't got time. So yeah, it's beautiful to be able to meet up with our clients and see what they're doing, see what they're up to, and know that we are real people and that we do this, Monday through Sunday. This is what we do. We're coaches. So it's amazing. I'm so happy that you got that opportunity, Emily. That's awesome.
Yes, it was great.
Yeah. Coach Megan, what's up with you? How was your last 7 days?
Last 7 days have been much better. My head has been so good. And yeah, I feel like started off the week strong with my pep talk from like you, which is always, I'm so fortunate to have Coach Michelle at my call any moment.
Yes.
And then, just continued into the week with a ton of client wins, and I felt like really accomplished this week. So it was definitely a solid week. I'm happy with it.
That's amazing. That's great. I feel like it's so cool to like have you on the team and you say like these clients have been the best that you've ever worked with. And that just makes me so happy.
They're amazing. It's incredible. I'm so freaking lucky. We have the best clients, the best community. It's next level.
Yes, I love that. So if y'all want to join next level community, okay, and you want to join the best coaching team around, then Be a Nutrition. Hit us up, okay? Because we really do have a great community here, and I just can't wait to be able to get everybody together and try to get us in a room with our clients, as many of us as possible together, because we have the community that we've been able to build has been truly amazing. And I never thought that I would be the person to be like bringing people together in that way. I never thought that me being like, well, I talk about protein and lifting weights, that we would have this community. It's crazy. But we're in a group chat talking about all different types of things. Yesterday we were talking about grief. We're talking about how we get our steps. We got the step challenge going on. We talk about recipes. We talk about relationships. We talk about all different types of things in a group chat. I just had my power hour. I always do my power hour on Fridays before this podcast, and was talking to clients about hormonal health and trying to get them all together. It's just so fun. It's so funny that I ended up having the 2 people that I needed to talk to, which were yours 2 clients, were on the power hour. And I was like, perfect. I can talk to both of you because you're the 2 ones that I needed to talk to. So
yes.
We ended up coming up with some great plans for them for the future, and they all are excited. The results that they've been getting so far is amazing. The results that Coach Emily and Coach Megan have been getting is amazing. And the fact that we just share those wins in the Slack channel that we have and with the clients, it's just so cool, bro. So we're just I'm just so happy to have you both. You both are great coaches. And, if anything that we can do is just bring this team together and get stronger and stronger when it comes to our community. And that's what I want to do. Like, we got so many more people to help
So
out
many.
there.
Yeah.
There's so many people in this world. I'll be like, oh my God, this is a lot of people. And so we're going to do our due diligence to help as many people as possible, which I'm excited about. For me, my last 7 days were actually pretty chill. I was home, didn't really do much. I just coached. Lots of phone calls this week, which is great. Bringing on some new clients onto BIA, helping more people, having a lot of conversations, posting on social media, all the things. So just doing my everyday normal BIA stuff. Nothing else is crazy or abnormal for me this week. I think I don't travel again until October, where I have a wedding that I need to go to, and that brings me to the point of like, I'm going to one of our clients' weddings, which is amazing.
That's
And being
so
able to
cool.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, it's the best thing ever when you like get somebody ready for a wedding and then you get them to that wedding point and then you as a coach get invited to the client's wedding.
Epic. That's epic.
Wow. Love
Have y'all
that.
wait, Megan, have you had that before? I don't
I
think
haven't
Emily
had
has
that yet.
Oh, it's the best.
Goals.
It's the best. My first client that I ever took to get her to her wedding was years ago, was Celicia. And now Celicia's pregnant. She's having her first baby. So Celicia was my very first client that I got her to her wedding. Janelle was my second client that I got to her wedding, and I was invited to her wedding. And then my client right now, Jessica, we're getting her ready for her wedding, and her wedding is in October. So we're going to that. Yeah, Emily, I remember when I went to Janelle's wedding, and when Emily first started with us, and she was like, I want to go to a client's wedding. So now I've been on the prowl trying to find a client that's getting ready for the wedding so I can put them with Emily, so Emily gets the opportunity to be able to go to somebody's wedding.
Well, that's awesome. I love a wedding. That's great.
Like, hopefully one day it'll just be like all the BIA coaches gets invited to the wedding, and we could just be out at the wedding. That's amazing. That would
know.
be so fun. Oh my gosh.
It's so funny because I was like, when am I gonna have my wedding? When's it my turn? Because I'm gonna have so many people to invite. I'm gonna invite all of BIA and stuff. It's just gonna be great.
Heck
So
yes.
Not
excited
the
for
BIA
that.
wedding, Emily's wedding.
Yep. First, I gotta find the man though. First things first.
Yeah. First, we're on that.
We
Yes.
we gotta find the man first. That's hilarious. I love it. So this is great. No more gloating about BIA, but I mean, I just will say that like BIA is the shit, bro. Like it's just amazing what we've been able to build. I'm so proud of this community every single day. So what we're gonna talk about as far as the podcast is concerned is the performer schedule. And this has come up. Coach Megan actually brought this up and was like, girl, Michelle, how do you deal with these clients on this performance schedule? And how, it's funny because most of our clientele and most of our client base are performers, because Michelle is a performer. I mean, I started dancing when I was 2 years old. I've been a competition dancer since I was a child. I studied dance, got my dance degree from Temple University. And from there on, I've been performing ever since in musical theater. And, now, I always say, it's so funny. I say 3 Broadway shows because like the first show that I did on tour was Aladdin. I was on Aladdin for 3 years. I was not on the Broadway company. I was on the touring company, but it was the same exact show. So I always say like I've done 3 Broadway shows because Aladdin counted. Like it was the same exact show. So 3, big shows later, most of the people who have known me and have seen me post about my fitness journey and everything like that have been performers, because that is literally my world. My world has been, dance since I was 2. So, we do work with a lot of performers. I have been able to change my body on a performance schedule, doing 8 shows a week and what that looks like. And there's a couple of things that I see is the main, when performers come to me, that they have the main issue about if they want to change their body, these are the things that they need to focus on the most to be able to have that body composition change. Usually they're usually doing the very opposite of what I'm going to preach on this podcast. So if anything, I feel like this podcast will give some some insights, no gatekeeping here, about what we need to change to make sure that you can get to the best physique with working a nighttime schedule or with working a performing arts schedule. And this can go off to this is the same exact thing that someone can listen to or learn from who is working a night shift, because it's literally the same thing. As performers, we work the night shift, where our stays, we wake up pretty much later in the day. I remember waking up at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. sometimes, which is a later start to the day. You would have your mid afternoons to be able to kind of do your thing, and then it's off to work at 4 p.m. You are performing at night until 11 p.m. Almost like 10:30. You don't get home until 11:30, and then you eat a meal at 12, and you're going to bed at 1. So this is kind of that cycle that we see with performers. And still, with that performing arts schedule that I've done for a very long time, I still have been able to change my body in the midst of it. So here are some of the points that I kind of want to bring up, and I'll let Coach Emily and Coach Megan kind of bounce off of me about what they've seen for the performing arts schedule and what has worked. Number one is that we have to make sure that we are being very aware of our circadian rhythms. And I think this is the number one thing that comes up with the clients, is that they are not aware that circadian rhythm is very, very important when it comes to how your body recovers, right? So going to sleep at the same time at night, waking up at the same time during the day, and getting your body into this circulated rhythm so that it is responding well to recovery and to fat loss generally, burning more calories, because you burn the most calories when you are asleep. And then when you are sleeping, you are doing the most recovery, all of the things like that. So what I think my number one tip for the performer is to make sure that they are being very aware of what time they go to bed, and trying not to push that time off of going to bed later and later. That is not doing them a service. So this really just goes into sleep habits, right? So let's talk about a little bit of sleep habits that we can do even with being on the performing arts schedule. So I'm going to pass this one over to Emily, because she's worked with a lot of performers. Emily's been working with me now for 3 years at this point. I've passed,
Crazy.
it's crazy. And she has had a lot of performers have had to trust Emily on this aspect of circadian rhythm. So give me your thought process, Emily, on like how we can be able to get in that routine of that sleep schedule. What are your top thoughts on that?
Yeah, so having a really solid bedtime routine is so, so important, because a lot of people, like our clients, when they're first starting out, I'm like, hey, do you have a bedtime routine? And they're like, no, not really. I'm like, well, what are you typically doing before bed? And a lot of times I hear like doom scrolling or falling asleep in front of the TV. And I'm
Yep.
just like, aha, okay. So we've identified some of these things that are interfering with getting into a deep sleep, a good
Hmm.
quality sleep. So that's the first thing I'll usually say, try to limit screen times about, within 2 hours before bed.
Yep.
Dim the lights, just create a really good environment to be able to fall asleep. Like make sure your room isn't too hot. Start dimming the lights. Like if you're a light sleeper, this is something I personally do, even though I don't have that schedule, but I like to sleep with earplugs because I am a pretty light sleeper.
Hmm.
And just like one little thing in the wall making a sound, and like I will be wide awake. So I find that sleeping with earplugs is a game changer. Also light blocking curtains, that's a huge one. Even sleeping with like an eye mask. I know they may not be the most comfortable, but eventually you get used to it. But I find just pretty much structuring your nighttime routine and also what you're doing and wearing on your face, like while you're asleep,
Hmm.
all these things make such a huge difference. And so just really getting into a routine, and also like a mental wind down routine, because I find that a lot of our performers are stress cadets and
Yes.
overthinkers and stuff like that. And like, hey, I've been there too, even without being in that schedule. And so in my personal experience for myself and also clients, whose brains work kind of similarly, I find having a mental wind down routine is important too. So that could be like a journal brain dump where like you write down and you set a time limit for 5 minutes. Like just write down everything that is bothering you and just kind of get it out there on paper, because then it's not going to be just sitting in your mind while you're trying to fall asleep. Even make a to-do list for what you need to do the next day, because sometimes you might be like going over it in your brain and then you're like, oh my gosh, what if I forget? Then I'm so
Mm-hmm.
disorganized. So also being organized is very helpful too. But
Yes.
those are my top tips when it comes to sleep and the sleep environment.
Absolutely. I think that's so key. Cold room, dark room, quiet room. Important. Not Go ahead, Megan.
I think the one thing that when we were talking about this earlier that really like stood out to me is the light situation
Yeah.
with the performers and how much, because I was like, oh yeah, they're on stage all day or all night with all of this light on them. Plus they have like that adrenaline pumping from
Yep.
performing it. And I remember having this issue too, because I danced my entire life. We're not Broadway star here. I made it to dance team, you guys. But
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like I would dance till probably like 9:30 at night and then go home and I'd have all this adrenaline. I could not sleep. And I didn't have any like sleep habits or anything. And then I was like, okay, that makes sense. They're high on the adrenaline. Plus we have all this light, which is what Emily said, like get off the screens. That's even more important because you were just under a ton of light.
Mm-hmm.
And then have that like wind down and make
Yes.
sure you're eating your food. I think the other thing too that would be really helpful for a lot of them is get that light in the morning when you wake up too. Like
Yeah.
go outside, because that will help the circadian rhythm for my performers. And another like easy supplement too I'll have people take is the magnesium
Yes.
as well to help them. But
Yeah.
yeah, the light, when you said that, I was like, oh, that's right. Okay, we got to
Very
focus
bright
on
lights.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very bright lights on stage, like all the time for like 3 hours. Literally, it's just lights shining
Yep.
on you. In your eyeballs, which is insane. But that's what you have to do, and that's what it is. So if anything that the performer can really focus on is that sleep schedule. And another thing that popped up to me is that usually because performers are um doing this night work, that what usually happens is after the night work, the hangout happens after that. I am sorry to all of the performers out there, but if you have a goal to be able to lose body fat, change your body, you gotta be careful of all the late night hangouts. You gotta be careful of that. And I'm not saying that you can't have friends. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that maybe we can have an afternoon hangout with your friends and stuff like that instead of the late night, because the late night then drags your night out. Now you're not going to bed until 2 a.m. When you could have been in bed at 12. We're trying to work with what we got here. We know that your schedule is at that nighttime, but if you keep pushing it off and off and off, then your circadian rhythm is going to be messed up. So, another thing is alcohol consumption that late at night before you're going to bed. That could keep you up. And I have to put this out there. I'm not a weed smoker. I'm not saying that weed is not a thing, but if you're smoking before you go to bed, THC before you go to bed, studies show that does not actually calm you. It does not put you into a REM state of sleep. It keeps you up. It doesn't get you into that deep sleep. And people think that, oh, if I take that as a supplement, it's going to help me go to bed. Or if I have my glass of wine, it's going to help me go to bed. Actually, no, those are doing the opposite of what we need when it comes to deep sleep and you getting into that deep sleep mode. So yes, we have to refrain from the alcohol a little bit, especially that late. You got to refrain from the smoking or the vaping or anything like that, or taking those THC supplement, pills before you go to bed, so that we can get that sleep schedule correct. And then waking up at the same time every single day is very, very important as well. So that was good. So sleep is number one that we need to make sure that we're staying on top of. The other thing too is then if you are staying up too late, what I tend to see from the performing arts from the performer schedule is the snacking. So if you are a performer and you tend to stay up so late, then you're going with your friends, because normally where it ends up is at the bar at the late night bars, okay? Then the alcohol comes in. Now the food comes in because you're having the food out, right? Then all of a sudden it's the appetizers. And we all know that after a certain time, you know, you got those late night happy hours. And we all know that those late night happy hours do not have anything that's advantageous to our goals when it comes to those menus. I don't care. Don't tell me that they do. They don't. It's usually always fried this, fried that, fried, you know, egg roll this, spinach artichoke dip this.
You're making me hungry.
Literally, that's what it is. Y'all know what it is, and that you know that food be bomb, and you be like,
Yes.
oh, time to go in, and it's time for us to eat. That's what's holding you back. Okay, that's what's holding you back from getting the best body that you want because you keep going to the late night happy hour and getting all the fried stuff and getting the late night burgers. Okay, I know where y'all be at. I know y'all be getting those late night chicken tenders. I know they happen, right? And then you wake up the next morning feeling guilty, or you feel upset that you did that. But obviously, the main issue is that you're not setting yourself up for a good sleep routine. You went out with your friends and you wanted to indulge. So at the end of the day, number 2, calories trump all. If you are eating too many calories, you're not going to experience fat loss. It's not going to happen. Hence why we make all of our girls track here, right? And we're trying to be like, hey, if you have a goal, then you need to go home so that you can eat your meal that's tracked, that you can know how many calories you're eating from your refrigerator that you got from the grocery store, okay? So that's what it is. You know what I mean? Anybody else want to talk about that? Because we can't shout that enough.
The other thing you and I talked about was like with the late night performers who wake up at whatever 11 o'clock and they're like, well, miss breakfast. I'm not hungry. Well, miss lunch. Okay. Well, now I got to perform. Okay. Well, now I'm going to binge because I haven't ate all day.
Yep.
Like we talked about, it doesn't matter if you're waking up at noon, you have your first meal within that hour because you have to set yourself up. Even if you're like, it's not breakfast anymore, you know, it doesn't have to be breakfast. It's just a meal.
Breakfast means break your fast. Breakfast does not mean pancakes, waffles, and oatmeal. I had to throw oatmeal in there just because I know a lot of people who eat a lot of oatmeal and they're like, yeah, I'm eating healthy. And I'm like, you're eating a lot of carbs. If you ain't got no scoop of protein powder in there, then you just eating carbs. Okay. But regardless, not saying that oatmeal's not bad, by the way. I personally don't eat oatmeal. I eat more cream of rice anyway. But regardless, yes, you're right. Like, bro, like you have to wake up. You should have a meal in you that is actually like a balanced meal. And if you're doing a bunch of snacking and if you're missing and skipping meals all day, guess what? It's going to lead to that late night binge. After you're done your show, it's going to be time to turn up with the food and the alcohol, and that's what's throwing you off. So we got to be okay with being a little bit uncomfortable when it comes to saying no to things, and being okay with being a little bit uncomfortable with being like, I'm not going to do this every single night. Maybe one night, because they do the snob that's called Saturday night on Broadway. And, you know, people like to stay after and hang out with the Broadway community, which is perfectly fine. You can do that. But does that snob need to be circled around food and alcohol if you have a goal? If you don't have a goal, perfectly fine. Go do to all the snobs you want. I don't care. But if you do have a goal, then you got to look at your habits and you got to look at your lifestyle that is making sure that it's advantageous to the goal that you have set forward for yourself. Period. Yeah, so that's my thoughts about the calories. Anybody else got anything when it comes to that? Like, the snacking at the theater.
Yeah, what's that like?
Lord Jesus. Okay, let's get started on this. So the snacking at the theater is insane. And I think that we need to bring this up because this actually is not just a dance performer thing. This is a everybody at work type of situation, because the way that we show love and the way that people show community is usually through food, right? So even if you have the like person that works at the doctor's office, and somebody is like, oh, I feel like going past the Dunkin' Donuts to get a bunch of the 16 pack of donuts today and put it at the break room table, and everybody's passing by the break room table getting the donuts. Well, then that's going to throw you off your calories. This same thing happens in the theater space. And I am a theater performer. I just got finished my last Broadway show in December. When I tell y'all that there is an abundance of sweets, there is an abundance of pastries, cookies, and everything like that at the theater every single day, when I tell you, I'm not exaggerating. Like, it is a part of the culture. Like, they will be like birthday club, and then they'd be like, it'd be cakes and cookies and candies. In my dressing room, they had a big tub that was like a 5-gallon tub of gummy worms or gummies that would sit in our dressing room, and they called it candy salad.
No
I would
way.
just watch people just come into the room just going ham. And I was like, how about we just make a fruit salad side? With I started the fruit salad so that I could put it on the side and be like, maybe some grapes and some strawberries and something other than freaking gummy candy.
I can see it now. Here walks Michelle with her fruit salad.
Literally, I was
it.
like, fruit
Yeah.
salad, yummy, yummy. And we're
Yummy.
gonna put it over here
Not the
because this is
wiggles.
insane.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That reminds me of when I used to work in an office. They'd be bringing like, bagels and donuts and stuff like that. And it's just like, I would always be that person. They would be like, oh, you want some? And I'd be like, no, thanks. I'm good. I actually brought my own meal prep. And I was that girl that always had the meal prep. And I feel like a lot of times clients will be like, oh my gosh, but if I say no, like I'll just be seen as like, it'll just be such an awkward interaction or whatever. And I'm just like, I really don't care if, people at work think I'm awkward, because if I'm in a sculpting phase, I want to see that new low on the
Yeah,
scale. I want to look at my progress pictures and be like, hell yeah, I'm doing it. Like, do I
yeah,
care more about that, or do I care more about the random person at work
right,
who does not take care of their own health? They're complaining of being constipated. Like, they're
right.
clearly not happy with where they're at. Like, do I care what they think, or do I care about my progress? So that's how
Exactly.
I always like to put it. Like, put yourself first. And really, it doesn't matter what people think. Like, your own opinion of yourself is what's most important.
That's so crazy, because that's another thing about like caring what other people think, and we're gonna go into that one too. Cause let me make sure I write that down, because we gotta talk about the woke community in the theater space too, because that's insane as well. But before we go into that, it's really, you gotta be okay with doing something different than what other people are doing.
Yep.
Facts. Okay.
Yep.
And out of all the theater shows that I've done, when I started my fitness journey, that was in 2018. And I literally changed everything about my food. My trunk that I carried, me and Matt, one was a bar of alcoholic beverages. Matt and I changed that up and actually started bought things in our trunk for a kitchen. We bought pots, pans, spices that we went with us, olive oil, stuff like that, so that we can cook our own foods. And I saw my body start to change when it came to my nutrition. And when I changed my nutrition, that's when my body started to change, period. Right? So no one till this day, and from when I was performing in 2018 till when I was performing on Broadway, no one had an issue with the way that I was eating. No one had a question. No one said anything about my decisions. I would bring my meal preps to the theater all the time. All I wanted was just a space in the refrigerator, in the mini fridge, to be able to put my meals. No one had an issue with it. If anything, people always ask me, being like, damn, you so damn disciplined. I wish I could be like that. And I said, you can be like that, but you choose not to be like that. My girls who are on Broadway, who are trying to get to the best bodies that they want to get to, are bringing their meals in the Tupperware, and they're heating them up, and they're eating them and not going out to the whatever smackeries down the street. You got to be okay with being different than other people, because if other people around you are not going to have that same goal as you. They might have the same goal, but are their actions following what they want? And that is what it has to be. So no one has ever in any type of Broadway space or dance space when I was on my fitness journey has ever had a question about what I was doing with my food. If anything, they were more so like, damn, how can I be like that? And I'm like, just change your ways.
People don't know where to start though. They're just like, yeah, but like, what do I start with? There's so much information and misinformation. It's so confusing. Like, how much protein should I eat? Should I track my protein? Should I do intuitive eating? Like, there's just so much question out there. So I can understand why people are confused, but it's like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to be like, yeah, I probably shouldn't be eating all the gummy worms and stuff.
Yes.
Start with Bia.
Start with Bia. Look, I'm gonna say it right now. This is what you need to do. If you are confused about all of the information out there and you feel as though that is information overload, my coach literally just posted something about this. Literally, the first thing that you can do right now is to eat more single ingredient foods, single ingredient whole foods that have one ingredient. That's the one thing that you can do. If you could do that multiple times throughout the day, 3 meals a day, put them into 3 meals, single ingredient foods, you will be further than any other person. And you don't have to track not a single protein. You don't got to track not a single carb. You don't got to track not a single fat. If you eat whole foods, you will be further along than 90% of people around you, period. That's what it is. So that's what it is when we're teaching people macros. We're like literally teaching you how to eat more single ingredient foods, put them in a freaking bowl and heat it up and eat that.
Yeah, when I'm looking at like starting chronometers where it's like clients are tracking and it's their first week before I've even given them macros, sometimes for each meal, I'll see like 12 to 15 different ingredients and things in their meals. And I'm just like, we need to simplify this. So, like, just I'll give them an example. I'm like, I mean, for lunch today, I had eggs, egg whites, and raspberries. Like, literally so simple. It's just a few ingredients, like probably like 4 ingredients because of the olive oil I cook the eggs in. So I'm just like, simplify your meals, your digestion will thank you, your skin will be better, and you don't have to overthink it so much. Like, how do I macro Tetris this out?
Yep. Like, what's the recipe? No, there is no recipe. Chicken, rice, pineapples in the bowl. That's it. Don't put nothing else in there. It's fine. That's it. Eat that.
So simple.
Very simple. And then the other thing is about the wokeness in the community. And I know this is really not what the podcast is, but it is going into that performer background. And I kind of want to speak on this, and people might not like what I have to say when it comes to this, but like at the end of the day, if you are not happy about your body, or if you're not happy about your energy levels, if you're not happy, like when you wake up and you look at yourself in the mirror and there is something within you that's saying like, I don't like the way that I'm presenting myself today. I don't like the way that I look. I feel this way. I don't feel confident in myself. It is your right to be able to change that, because the beautiful blessing that we have in our life today is that you actually do have the capability to be able to change that, right? So then when we go into the performing arts world, what happens is that people are like, oh, well, I'm woke. I want all bodies to be celebrated, and I want to do everybody should be okay here. But baby, if you keep saying that everybody is okay and everything is fine, but you wake up on the day-to-day basis and you take off your shirt and you are in your birthday suit and you look at a mirror and you be like, I don't like the way that I look, then I don't care what other people are saying about wokeness when it comes to your body. Something needs to change so that you can feel more confident, because that's doing you a disservice. It doesn't do you a service when you wake up. It doesn't do you a service when you're when you're at the pool. It doesn't do you a service when you go into the auditions room, because now you're going all the way in the back of the audition room. You're in the back of the class. You have no confidence in yourself, and now you're not going to book the freaking job, period. So that's, to me, I feel like sometimes the woke community can really hold us back as performers, because we have the right to be able to feel like, oh, I feel confident in my skin. I feel confident in this body. The moment that I started to feel confident in my body and the way that my body looked, that's the moment that I started booking Broadway.
Yup.
Period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was the moment that I started booking Broadway. And it was just like, okay, cool. So I want everybody to be okay with being like, you know what, I want to make a change with what I want to do. And these are the actions that I need to take to be able to make that change. There's a couple of things that we cannot change. I can't change your sex. I can't change your height. I can't change your race. But your physical body, meaning how much body fat percentage you have on your body and how much muscle percentage you have on your body and how you show up from day to day, that can change.
We can do
Like,
that.
we can do that.
Yes.
That can
Hey,
happen.
I
And
love
it's
it when people
amazing.
say it's genetics though, because it's like, no, it's
Mhm.
not, because there's a lot of people in my family who are overweight. And I probably have those genetics. Genetically, I have a huge
Same with
appetite.
mine.
And like, I mean, yes, I can eat a lot of food, but if I started eating the wrong foods, I mean, I would probably be like twice or triple the size that I am now. So it's like I just need to just put that out there too, that it's not always your genetics. Maybe genetically you might have a slower, not slower metabolism, but like a slower set point with where you're at, and you can increase it, but you might be starting, but it's not because of your genetics. You may just not have a high training age, you may not have a
Mhm.
lot of muscle mass. Maybe you're just new to the fitness and nutrition type of lifestyle. So yeah, it's really not genetics. It's more of just like your history of all of the things that have gotten you to where you're at now.
Yep, 100%. Your lifestyle. And that's what the genetics of your family is doing. But then again, now let's circle it back to the performing world, and you see what the lifestyle is of the performing arts world, right? We're not getting enough sleep. We're staying up all night. We're drinking alcohol all night. We're going to the happy hours. We're skipping meals. Like Megan said, we're skipping meals all day. The only thing that we're having is a protein bar. You go into the theater, you're snacking on gummy worms all damn day. And then you got bright lights in your eyes. You doom scrolling at night. All the things that's literally the opposite of what we need you to do for you to be able to change your body. So literally it is a lifestyle thing. It is a lifestyle thing. And I cannot preface that enough, because we see it here, because once the girls in who are performers who start coming into our program and start being like, and we say, hey, we want you to do the exact opposite of what you're doing right now, and then they get pissed off, and we're just like, yeah, it's gonna be okay, but we do want you to do that exact opposite. And then all of a sudden their bodies start to change, and they're like, holy fuck, why didn't I do this sooner?
I was thinking the other people who can relate to this outside of performers is our restaurant industry people, our
Yeah.
bartenders, and our nurses.
Yeah.
Like 100%, all of this applies to you guys too.
Baby, I can't work at the ice cream spot. I will be fat.
I could do it.
You think you can do it?
I think I could do it.
I probably could do it now.
I could do it now. Yeah, back in the day now. Now I can do
No.
it.
Yeah, I used to work at a gas station scooping ice cream. It was fine.
Oh,
It was like one of my like first jobs, like that, babysitting, like little things like that. But
Mhm.
at that job, I only lasted 1 week. And the reason is because they would not give me a lunch break. And I was just like, hey, isn't that illegal? Because like,
Yeah.
my parents come from the lawyer background. So I was like, hey, let me just check with them. Like, isn't that illegal to not get a lunch break if you work past a certain amount of hours? And so I actually brought that up to the boss, and I was like, hey, I think it might not be legal, the fact that you're not giving me a lunch break. And so he was like, if you don't like it, I mean, you can leave and stuff. And I was like, well, I'm on my feet all day, and I feel that it's important for me to just be able to take 10 minutes to eat a little something just to fuel myself. And so I don't get tired and, then start to slow down. And he
Mhm.
was just like, oh, well, like if you have a minute or something, you can like eat something while you're helping a customer. But I'm just
Mhm.
like, well, isn't that like unsanitary if you're scooping
Mhm.
ice cream with one hand and then eating something with your other? I'm like, I don't know about that. So morally, I just didn't agree with that. So I was like, nah, like that's it. I'm done. And, I would come home smelling like pepperonis because I'd also have to make the pizzas there.
Nice.
At the time, I was vegan though, and none of the stuff there was vegan.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I can't even eat any of this. So I'm not really tempted. Oh,
So Emily could work anywhere
yes,
back in the day.
definitely. I had to work in the freezer room too, and it was so cold in there. It was like something below zero, and I was just like freezing, and it was
Lord.
horrible.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Oh my gosh, I had one more point about. Oh, this is the last thing, and I won't let this go any longer because we're past 30 minutes at this point. Is that the performer also needs to know that their recovery is very important too. So if
Yes.
anything that I see from the performer is that they are doing all of our shows, 8 shows a week, and then we have rehearsals, and then on top of that, for them wanting to change their body, they feel as though that they need to train 7 times a week or do a bunch of dance classes, cardio to be able to keep up with the stamina, and that could not be further from the truth when it comes to that. Like, if anything, the girls that we see in our program, we literally actually scale them back when it comes to the amount that they're doing. And I was just talking to my 2 clients about this the other day, about like how we're able to the way that we're able to build muscle. And the best way to be able to build muscle is to eat, is to train, and train hard, and you have to recover from that, right? So when you are a performer and you're doing 8 shows a week, but then you're also strength training on top of it, there's only but so much recovery that you can actually get from it, because you're putting your body under stress every single night, you know? So I was letting them know, I was just like, yeah, you can build muscle, but there will be a point of like where you can't actually get any returns from that because your body is actually not recovering from that. So you'll see people who are actually not performers, who are living just the 9 to 5 regular jobs, who, you know, yes, of course they need to deal with stressors of their 9 to 5 jobs, but because they are actually in a more advantageous position to put on more muscle tissue because they're sedentary from their day to day, they're actually getting recovery all the time. You know what I mean? So they go into their gym, they do their heavy lifting session, they probably do their steps, they sit down, and that's kind of their lifestyle. So they're more advantageous to build more muscle. I've gotten more growth actually not being in a Broadway show than I am being in a Broadway show, but it doesn't mean that I couldn't build muscle while I was doing a show at the same time. I just had to be very, very, very cognizant of my recovery, right? So my coach would literally be like, if you have to do shows 8 times a week, I still do want you to train 4 times a week. We still want to do that. You don't need to train no more than that. But the other things that play into recovery, your food and your
Yep.
sleep, need to
Yep.
be A1, so you could be able to get that growth that you want. So it's like playing that game of tug of war of like rest and recovery and where that is. And dancers and performers need to know that they don't need to be doing their show 8 times a week, then plus rehearsal, then plus more cardio and more things on top of that. If anything, we need to find that happy balance, and that's kind of what we do here at BIA.
Literally told a client yesterday, Michelle, she's about to go on tour. She's like, I feel like I need to do more cardio for stamina. I said, absolutely not. Not until you figure out this food first. Absolutely
Yes.
not. You have to have the fuel down. Otherwise, it does not matter. You can
Doesn't
go
matter.
run. If you don't have the fuel, you're not going to have any more stamina. So, yep. Every day.
100%. 100%. Food is recovery too. People need to understand that food is recovery. So people always associate food all the time, food with like fun and love and da da da. And I get it. I understand. But food is also fuel, right? Back in the day, they wasn't thinking about food. Like when our ancestors, they weren't thinking about food being fun. They was just eating because they needed to survive. It was fuel. So we do have to kind of go back to that. And I know it's hard to hear that from people. And I know there's these coaches that are out here being like, food is supposed to be fun all the time. Nah, bro. No, it's not. No, it's not. Sometimes you just got to get the thing done. And, you know, like, sometimes you just got, like I said before I came on this call, sometimes you just got to throw some chicken, rice, and pineapples in a bowl and do what you need and eat your meal and do what you need to do. You know, like, it is what it is. You're going to be okay. So it is definitely that when it comes to recovery, for sure, Megan. That's a huge point that I see in the dancer world, that we don't recover enough.
Yeah, and you know what's so crazy too is like if we think about it as humans, we've justified eating like crap, but then like if you think about it, you know, we probably feed our dog like boiled chicken, rice, and green beans and stuff. And it's like
Literally.
if our dog is overweight, we don't have this like thing where it's like, you know, we're almost afraid to put him or her into a caloric
Into a diet.
deficit and take them for more walks and stuff. It's like, you know, but then when it's a human, it's like we have this emotional response to it. But if it's your dog, it's like that's your responsibility.
Yep.
But we don't take responsibility like that for our own
For
selves. So
ourselves.
it's interesting.
It's very interesting. Absolutely. They had the farmer's dog, and they'd be like, that commercial be like, I was feeding my dog this food and my dog was overweight. So what did I have to do? I have to change the dog's food. And then me and Matt looked at each other and we were just like, how about feed the dog less?
Yeah.
You don't need to change the food. You need to feed it less and walk it more. That's what needs to happen. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting on how we've put that perspective on ourselves and have not put that, we'll put that perspective on a dog all day. And every time that Brody goes to his Korean aunt's house, she be trying to feed him so much food, and I'd be like, stop feeding him so much. He does not need to be fat. He needs to be a healthy weight dog.
Yeah, Teddy's an intuitive eater. He's very good at his intuitive eating skills because, you know, we'll actually give him a huge plate of food and he'll just stop when he's done and start, you know, running around, you know, maybe take a dump or something. Like he's just like distracted and doing something else. So Teddy's got his intuitive eating skills down to the T. So
Look, I need to be like Teddy.
same.
Period. This was great. I love this podcast. Thanks, Coach Megan, for coming up with this topic. This was good.
Thanks for the help.
Look, this is great. I hope our performers can really take something from this. And if you feel as though that we didn't touch on anything, or sorry, didn't touch on something, let us know. Let us know in the comments. We would love to hear from you all about what your thought process about being a performer. And if you do want to change your body and you want to get to this leaner physique, then there are some changes that you're going to have to make, and it's going to be okay. You will get to that if you just follow these simple steps that I see that performers kind of lag on a little bit. And we're just kind of teaching that to our clients every single week. Every single week. Amazing. Thank you, Coach Emily. Thank you, Coach Megan. And thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 6 of the podcast. This was amazing. And yeah, let us know what you want to hear. If you have any questions about Bia, hit us all up on Instagram. You can find us there. And yeah, we'll do this again next week, episode 7.
Yeah.
Nice. Love you all so much. We'll talk soon, okay?
Bye.
Bye.